All right, what we're going to work on now is Objective 5, Procedure 1. And in this part of the lab here, as per the instructions, the design of the circuit needs to satisfy the following criteria. We need to have 3 momentary initiating devices that are going to be needed. So we need to figure out how they're going to be connected. So that means 3 initiating devices. Any one of those will activate a circuit. The alarm circuit must remain energized once an initiating device is triggered. The alarm circuit is over here. The circuit requires 1 reset button that will silence the alarm. The control circuit must operate no more than 30 volts. The alarm circuit will operate a 120 volt lamp, so a red lamp here, and a 120 volt buzzer that's very annoying to listen to. Okay, so as per the instructions, we're going to be using 3 initiating devices, and we are going to use 3 normally open push buttons. That'll be our green buttons here, and we're going to be connecting 1 normally closed push button to be our reset, and I'm going to connect up this guy here. So what you're going to think about is, how are we going to connect up these 3 initiating devices where their purpose is where any one of those buttons, when they are pushed, will activate my alarm system. So how are we going to connect them? Are we going to connect them in series, or are we going to connect them in parallel? Then the alarm system needs to stay activated once one of those 3 buttons are activating the alarm, that even when we let go of the push button, the alarm stays energized. The light is lit and the annoying buzzer is sounding off. Then we will have the 1 normally closed push button that will reset or quiet the buzzer and de-energize the light. Okay, so this is what you need to be able to have a schematic drawing showing all this. And again, we have 2 different voltages. We're going to have our control circuit operate at less than 30 volts, and we're going to have our alarm circuit, the lamp and the buzzer, operating at 120 volt. And we're going to use our relay coil here with a 24 volt coil on it. Okay, so let's get started here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect each one of our initiating devices. I'm going to connect them in parallel with each other. Not only that, but after I connect them in parallel, I will be using a holding contact that will allow for, when I release any one of those 3 push buttons, my holding contact will continue to have a path of current going to my coil, which keeps my coil activated and keep my alarm sounding. And it'll stay sounding, the buzzer will sound, the light will light up until the point that I hit a reset button to disconnect. What I'm going to do with my reset button is I'm going to connect my reset button in series with my 3 parallel normally open push buttons and the holding contact that is in parallel with each one of my 3 initiating devices. Green buttons are going to be my initiating, my red button will be my reset button. All right, so let's get started connecting all this up. I'm going to start with my low voltage side of things, and I'm going to start with my supply. And what I'm going to do, I said I was going to put my normally closed push button in series with, so I'm going to start with connecting into my normally closed push button. I will then come out of my normally closed push button and feed into each one of my 3 normally open push buttons. So I'm going to connect onto normally open number 1, from normally open number 1, normally open number 2, normally open number 2, to normally open number 3. Now I want to continue by connecting to my holding contacts. So my normally open holding contacts will be in my relay here. So I'm going to use my terminals, my common number 1 of this armature, and the normally open side will be number 3. So I'm going to parallel the one side of my normally open contacts to my position number 1 in my contact side. Okay, so far so good. Then what I'm going to do to complete my parallel connection here is I'm going to finish the other side of my switches, my initiating devices. And I need to parallel my 3 initiating devices. So the other side of initiating switch number 1 connected to the other side of initiating button number 2, and we'll connect it to number 2 to initiating button number 3, and then again the last part will be paralleling my normally open contact, which was terminal number 3. Okay. Then in order to complete this part of my circuit, I'm going to go from my connection number 3 or any one of my the second side of my switches here and connect to my coil, which is position number 2, my low voltage coil. And then what we will do is complete our circuit from the other side of my 24-volt relay coil, position number 7, all the way back to low voltage supply. Okay, so I have actually completed my wiring of my low voltage side, 3 initiating push buttons plus my holding contact, position 1 and 3 are all in parallel with each other, and my reset button here is in series with all that. And I came out of what I call the backside of each one of my 3 switches and connect to my holding contact, and then to complete the circuit connect to my relay coil, positions 2 and positions 7. Now what we're going to do on the line voltage side, the 120 volt side, operate both of our lamp and our buzzer here. So they are going to be connected in parallel with each other after we use a normally open contact in our relay. So we're going to use the other armature that we have in our relay. I'm going to connect from my power supply, my 120 volt power supply. The common of my other armature is position number 8. That would be my common. So I'm going to bring my 120 volt into the common of my armature. I'm going to come out of the normally open side of my armature, which is position number 6, and I will then parallel both of my loads, 1 being my lamp and 2 being my buzzer, and then I'll complete my 120 volt circuit by connecting them back to the identified. Just keep this nice and neat here. I parallel the 2 and then go right back to our source with our identified conductor. All right, so this is our complete circuit here. Objective 5, procedure 1. Again, the intent was 3 momentary initiating devices are needed. 1, 2, 3. The alarm circuit must remain energized once an initiating device is triggered. So once I release one of these, my holding contact should keep current going to my coil to keep it energized so we can have the alarm continue to sound. The circuit requires one reset button right here that will silence the alarm. My control circuit is less than 30 volts, and my alarm circuit here is comprised of a 120 volt lamp and a 120 volt buzzer. Okay. When I hit my reset button, it should quiet my buzzer and de-energize my light, and that resets my circuit. So let's try this and see where it takes us. So I'm going to energize my 24 volt circuit and my 120 volt circuit, so I have power going to my circuit. I'm going to try my initiating device number 1, then I'm going to reset, then I'm going to try initiating button number 2, reset, initiating button number 3, and reset. I'm telling you this now because this buzzer makes quite a bit of noise. So now that my alarm system is quiet and reset, try initiating button number 2. Reset. Initiating button number 3. Reset. Okay, we were able to connect our circuit and complete the functions that we had there. It's important to draw a proper schematic drawing showing exactly what needs to be connected here and showing all of our connections. Then we can go from our schematic, label it